Let's talk about the 2025 WWE Royal Rumble that happened on February 1st, 2025, because everybody online has something to say, but let's really talk about it. What up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Square Circle Podcast. We are truly Marie Shadows. And yes, this episode is sponsored by you, the fan, the viewer, the listener. Whether you're listening to this podcast episode on Spotify and all major podcasting platforms, or you're on youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast, or you're on marieshadows.substack.com, where you can enjoy all of my takes and wrestling breakdowns for all to consume. I'm still working on a couple of things, but yes, this episode is sponsored by you guys, because without you guys, this podcast would not be here, going 6 years strong, season 6. And I really do appreciate you guys for all the shares, for all the likes, for all the comments, and definitely diving into the world of, if you want to end up buying some merchandise from Fourth Wall, or even the wrestling planner for 2025 over at Barnes & Nobles, or picking up a membership, or even just sharing the word. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And that's an easy way for you guys to help out the channel, even if you don't end up getting merch or any of the other stuff, but even just sharing it out, that helps. So again, this podcast episode is sponsored by you. Everything that I mentioned in the beginning will be down in the description below. So let's talk about the Royal Rumble very quickly. The Royal Rumble is one of those events that is the lead up to WrestleMania, where everyone points to the sign of WrestleMania. And I do think that's sort of fun sometimes to point at the sign to WrestleMania, but then again, it does get overplayed. However, this Royal Rumble sold out building, and they picked a very wonderful building, sold out building. And it was a very good pay-per-view. Of course, we had a couple of instances where we do need to talk about it. So I'm not really going to go in depth into the matches, but I will say that the highlights of the Royal Rumble was definitely the ladder match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. I have been watching Kevin Owens' career for a very long time, not just in WWE, even in Ring of Honor days. And I do not know how this guy is still walking around, because if you would have saw the stuff in Ring of Honor days, man, how does he get up in the morning? That's what I want to know. Because of all the bumps that he took, going through tables, going through ladders, putting his body on the line for our entertainment, and he's been doing it for years and years, and he's still able to walk around. Cody Rhodes has been doing the same thing too, going through tables, going through ladders, creating stories, creating drama, and end up getting championship titles. And this was a very interesting match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, because of the story dynamics, because of Kevin being right in the stuff that he does, and then Cody Rhodes looking like the villain, and every single fan out there hoping that Cody Rhodes turns into Homelander. I am too. I'm waiting for it, man. I'm waiting for this Cody Rhodes turn, but I'm not going to be pushy about it, but I know that it is coming. And then for Sami Zayn to come out also to check on Kevin Owens, and to have this sort of divide and push and pull between his friend of 20 years, even though Kevin Owens has powerbound him on the apron for quite a while, for those 20 years. And they have battles up and down the road and stuff like that, to Cody Rhodes of also being friends with him and helping him out whenever he needs help. So Sami is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Other than that, the way that Cody Rhodes had stood above Kevin Owens towards the end of the match, that is very symbolic, and that is very heavy imagery and really good imagery in terms of storytelling and psychology, and wanting to know where almost everybody's mind is currently at. And I really do enjoy that kind of storytelling and that ability to do that. I really do. So Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes for that ladder match for the undisputed WWE Championship title is the highlight. So go check that out. Another match that gets an honorable mention, I don't know, I was just thinking of the word, is the tag team match that had DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns. This match originally I thought was just going to be a very simple, easy match that we've seen before. And I really do enjoy Motor City Machine Guns. I've watched Ciampa and Gargano for so long in WWE that sometimes it gets annoying when they used to do the best friends arc where like they were best friends, they were having a good time, then something happens, Ciampa gets jealous and they turn on each other and they became enemies. That was a whole big thing in NXT Gold and I was really, really annoyed with that. And I was just like, man, I've seen this before, you know, and now they're tag team and tag team champions. However, this match surprised me, and there was a very interesting piece in this match, an interesting setup. To where Ciampa was reaching out for the tag, and obviously we saw that the tag was not made, but that still had Johnny come in, because it looked like it did to the other team, had Johnny come in and attack, I believe it was Alex Shelley, and then get out of the ring for Ciampa to still be legal to try to get a pin. That caught my attention. That is innovative work in a tag team match. And this match will get a spotlight on Tape Study Chatter. If you guys don't know what Tape Study Chatter is, it is basically my tape study series where I break down professional wrestling matches and or promo and react to it. So I'll pause, I'll talk about it, I'll explain why this move is really good and how it could be used in a very effective way. And if there are things that need to be shouted out for improvement, I will do that. If there are suggestions that need to be made, I will do that. It is not about bashing the match or bashing the wrestlers. It's about really studying and making it an educational video. And if you want to see more stuff like that, which I do have available on marieshadows.substack.com, there is a section called Tape Study. There's also some tape study on Spotify as a video. If you guys don't know, Spotify has a video feature and you can play that directly on your phone and you can learn what I will talk about the match. So you can learn from that. And then also on YouTube, if it doesn't get stricken down, it will be on there. And then also the last step will be the fourth wall, which is similar to Patreon, where I could just upload a video and have you guys watch it. So that tag match between DIY and Motor City Machine Guns will be getting a Tape Study Chatter treatment. I just wanted to point out that little instance in the match of the fake tag, not really a tag. Gargano comes in and basically attacks Shelley, rolls out, and Ciampa goes for the pin. That was very, very nice. That was done really good because I wasn't expecting it. And then I was paying attention during the rest of the match. And of course, you had DIY retain, but then you had the Street Profits helping them retain, and then the Street Profits coming in and basically beating up everybody, because it is true that the Street Profits have been getting overlooked for weeks and weeks and weeks and months, and they have yet to get their title opportunity. And I think now is a good time for them to get an opportunity, and it will be a very interesting showing. I do think that it might end up being maybe a triple threat. Can we say a fatal four-way? Maybe a triple threat. It'll be like Pretty Deadly. Oh no, it'll be a fatal four-way. So Motor City Machine Guns, Pretty Deadly, Street Profits, and DIY. Tornado tag. Book it. Now, let's get to the Women's Royal Rumble, which was really good. They had a lot of good female wrestlers in there. I just did not like that Nikki Bella was back. I don't like the Bellas at all. They should not be part of WWE at this very moment. All the other female wrestlers have surpassed what the Bellas can do in the ring. So I did not like that Nikki was there. Plus, anyway, she did beat her husband, and that was documented. So I don't know why we're not giving her the same energy as we do to the men that have those kind of things against them. So yeah, Nikki did not need to be number 30. That could have been for somebody else. However, our winner for the Women's Royal Rumble is Charlotte Flair. I am a Charlotte Flair fan. I am a Ric Flair fan. So, I get why people do not want her to be the winner. And I am going to really side with the people on this one because it is true and it does look kind of weird that all the rest of the girls in that Rumble, minus Nikki Bella and any other Bellas that come on through, all the other girls in that ring were building up stories with each other and giving reasons why they should be champion, giving reasons why they should have matches, and building something together. And of course, Charlotte was taken out with an injury and she came back from the injury. And I totally get it that we should be like, oh, welcome back. Hopefully that you are healthy and stuff. So, welcome back. But at the same time, it's like all the rest of the girls were building. You come in and jump the line. Before, I really didn't have a problem with it, but I have a problem with it in this instance just because of I was enjoying all the rest of the girls that were building something. And then here comes Charlotte. Now, I know it's not necessarily her fault. It is just a combination of just everything that happens because it is part like her name and maybe some favoritism and, maybe some other stuff, some other factors in there. But also from a fan perspective, it's sort of like, well, what has she done to earn it? She just came back from injury. She shouldn't be pushed to a WrestleMania match this quick, this fast after coming back from an injury, even though they did the same thing before. I do think that she should build up again, get her name out there because there's a lot of new faces that are going to be interacting with her. I do think that her promo game is still strong while it is condescending in certain aspects of it. But she plays the mom role, the figure role, when she does her promos and when she goes after people and tell them what's up. And she's very confident in the fact that she says she's going to take the belt from them. Sometimes you need that in a character where you're just confident enough to know that you could take the belt away from them. But yeah, I'm going to have to agree with the fans and the people on this one that I wouldn't have picked Charlotte to win. If anything, imagine how great of a win it would have been for like Roxanne, or maybe we just continue to have Nia go around and terrorize people and have Nia win the Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania. Someone a little bit different that has been putting in the work, that has been telling stories, that has been fighting with everybody and never wanting to stray away from getting a championship title belt, rather than Charlotte, who just came back. And I know that they have this sort of like different character for her, that she's the top girl. And I do think that eventually there needs to be a writer room where we just talk about the different ways for women to develop characters, because now that we have a top girl, meaning Charlotte, we have Tiffany Time, which she's a character of Richie Rich girls that are very similar to the ones in White Chicks. That's the only way that I could describe this, because that's what I was thinking of, the Richie Rich white girls. But Tiffany is adorable, and we all love saying Tiffy Time. And then we have Rhea, which she's mommy. And I think that Rhea needs a character change. And I do not care if all the Rhea fans get upset at me. The fact that on Monday Night Raw, she decided to come on out because it might have been the obvious choice for having a Rhea versus Charlotte Flair because they are 1-1. It's sort of like, well, why are we jumping the gun either way? Why are we listening to the fans, even though that may or may not happen? And then for Charlotte to call Rhea a kid, and that angers Rhea and says, you don't respect me the same way that I respect you. Well, guess what? You're still being a kid, Rhea. You're still being a kid. There is nothing that changes with Rhea's character. There's nothing that changes. I need a character change from Rhea at least. Or not even a change, but more like an acknowledgement of her past and the things that she did and the people that she fucked over. More of a character growth. That's what I need from Rhea. So, just as a reminder, Charlotte Flair is the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble winner, and she will be going to WrestleMania. We just don't know who she's going to face. Now, let's talk about the Men's Royal Rumble for 2025, because we have Jey Uso as our winner for 2025. And I am very conflicted. I am 50-50 on everybody's take. And I will be name dropping an awesome person that I love interacting with his tweets. And it is John Draper, which I hope that I pronounced his name right. If I didn't, I'm sorry. So I bookmarked his tweet because most of the time, like 99% of the time, I agree with him. But I really do think that this is a really good talking point. And I'm going to use this time to talk about it because I don't think it's talked about enough. So if you don't know, he's also on Wrestling Soup from time to time. He has Spitball Media. So shout out to Wrestling Soup because I love those guys too. So John says this, and this is his tweet, and this is from 4 days ago. Said it on Soup. The reason for the outcome of the Royal Rumble is WWE books for the weekly people who are actually watching their fucking weekly shows, whereas AEW books with the IWC and people who make social media comments but don't leave the house. Which company is doing better? See, I agree with the logic because I see the logic. From a business standpoint, I see this. And when he wrote it and put it on the Twitter timeline and posted it, I was like, oh shit, they actually do book their shows for fans that watch weekly, because what am I doing every single Monday? I'm watching every single Monday Night Raw. I'm watching every SmackDown. And then I try to watch whatever shows up on Twitter from WWE. So I am really one of those that are for the weekly television show because I want to tune in. So John has a point there. The only thing that I would say is that this is where my dilemma comes in, because I am so in deep with the story of John Cena retiring that to have John Cena and Jey Uso be the last two, and for a while, John Cena was like, yeah, I'm going to retire, guys. We're going on a retirement tour. And what has WWE marketing have been doing? The retirement tour, the John Cena towels about retirement. Everything is about John Cena's retirement. So in the back of my head, I am so like, I'm ready to go on this journey. I'm ready to go on this ride with John Cena one last time, because I know that he's not going to be one of those wrestlers that are going to be like, I retire, then come back. I retire, and then I come back. Cena is going to give his word about retiring. So in my mind, as a fan, not even as looking at this from a critique standpoint, I wanted John Cena to win the Royal Rumble. Now, I just wanted John Cena to win the Royal Rumble because we all know that Jey Uso is going to be there next year, and Jey Uso is going to show up the next day. I just wanted Cena to get his flowers because he's on a retirement tour because of everything that he has done for this business. And I look at the wrestling business way different than anybody else out there in the wrestling world. I look at it with a lot more old school eyes and a lot more respect than a lot of fans give it. Not saying that John doesn't give it respect. I'm just saying in general, as a general talking point, that's just the way that I look at wrestling. So because Cena is so like, I'm going to retire, my brain is like old school and also respect. We should give John Cena the Royal Rumble win. We should give him the WrestleMania main event. And then from there, he could do whatever the fuck he wants. But Royal Rumble and WrestleMania are the two biggest events that should be checked off of your bucket list. And to do it one last time on a retirement tour, sure, I will be the one in the writer's room to fight for John Cena to have those accolades again, because I know that Jey will be there next year. Now, as I say all of that, I have a different perspective because I did not know that during the post show, during that press conference, that when somebody asked him the question, I guess, of what he's going to do next, is that yes, we will see John Cena at Elimination Chamber, but once he mentioned that he has a movie to film, I was sort of like, bro, I was with you as a fan for you to win the Royal Rumble. You should have won the Royal Rumble. But now I feel deflated because you're going to go shoot a movie. And it's like, I don't want that same rhetoric to still be around the wrestling industry, where it was the same thing with The Rock, that he went off to Hollywood and he comes back being part-time. And then if he wins something as big as Royal Rumble, we won't see him onto WrestleMania like back in the day, like when Vince used to do that for the guys that he was in favor of. However, those guys moved tickets, and I understand that looking back at it, but I don't want that narrative to come back into 2025 where WWE is building up the new stars and WWE is giving chances and opportunities to guys that would have taken a back seat if this was the old management, because favoritism outrules the ones who want to try to make a difference, the ones who need the opportunity. So my stance changed, and I'm like, while I would have loved as a fan to have John Cena win the Royal Rumble, was Jey Uso the right choice? And I love Jey. I love Jey. I love Jimmy. I love everything they're doing with the bloodline. I love, my boys being there as well. There is no hate and dislike for Jey. I love Jey. Jey deserves everything. He deserves the world. He deserves the way that the Yeet movement has been created and everybody has been on board with it. He deserves all of that. But it's the idea and the concept of that he went against a veteran, a pro like John Cena, and then to sort of choose who you want to win. It was just bad optics. And thinking about it now, it would be the same thing if like CM Punk and John Cena went at it and Punk was eliminated. It would be the same thing so many years ago of like that rhetoric. So I'm just torn. And I want to go back to the question that I asked. Did Jey really need it? Because the obvious choice is to go after Gunther. There are two choices. There's Cody Rhodes and there's Gunther. And on Saturday night's main event, I really do think that Jey Uso should have won and dethroned Gunther. It's about time. Why are we putting Gunther in these matches where he's always winning and looking like he's about to lose but then wins? And there's no one that can finally figure out his formula to actually beat Gunther and become the World Heavyweight Champion. I just didn't want something predictable to where Jey would automatically challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship title. Why are you still going after that? Go after Cody. Go after the big one that Roman Reigns lost to be like, I could get it too, big dog, or something. Do something to add some more to the bloodline storyline and all that kind of stuff. Go after Cody. And if he goes after Cody, I think it will be saved. And then it'll be interesting to have Gunther versus Cena. And I would also like Cena versus Cody Rhodes as well down the line. But again, I was looking at this from a fan's perspective. I appreciate John and all the wisdom that he spews and posts on Twitter. I really do. I appreciate everything that he posts. And he does make people think. Like, he has some really good think tweets. And this was a good one to dive into about WWE booking for the weekly TV shows for fans that are going to be watching every single week. So yes, I do understand why Jey got picked to win the Royal Rumble. And even on Monday, we saw how loved he is and that the movement is still there. Everyone chanting yeet and him celebrating with the fans. And then the promo that he cut on Monday, I get it that it was a lot of emotion. I get that someone like him that had obstacles put in front of him and then finally he breaks through, he breaks out. He's done an amazing job of elevating himself, elevating his family. It's just that the promos, you gotta hold that inside, man, because you're gonna make me cry, you're gonna make everybody else cry. And I just think that has to be learned a little bit more. And then for Gunther to come out to say the same stuff that we hear every single week and Jey not really getting in some really good licks, it's very complicated. It's very complicated for me to explain, only because I want the best for Jey Uso. Jey Uso obviously knows what he's doing. I do think that the fans online were way out of pocket with some of the stuff I was reading. And it's like, guys, it's not that serious. There's no point for you to really hate Jey Uso. For what? I get that he does super kicks all the time. I don't like that he does super kicks all the time, but that's part of his arsenal. However, when push comes to shove, Jey Uso does do other moves other than the super kick. Is it being relied on too much? Yes. Can it not be relied on that much? Yes. But seriously, the stuff that I was reading online was way out of pocket. However, I do understand that there was a subsection of fans that did not want to see something predictable in WrestleMania, and I don't want to see something predictable either. I do not want to see another Gunther versus Jey match for that title. If they're going to give him the title, give him the title. If not, then move on. Maybe do something cool with Cody for a little bit, because Cody needs a different opponent now that he is done with Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens decided to attack Sami. So now we're going to do Sami versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania without a title. So maybe we could get Jey versus Cody for the WWE title and maybe take it off of Cody. So this is all just fantasy booking here and just talking off the top of my head. Obviously, nothing that's confirmed. I do not consider myself to be an insider reporter for WWE for that kind of stuff. But this is just stuff that looks like where we can go for WWE. So I would like to know everyone's thoughts. My thought is that, wow, I'm not really thrilled with Jey winning the Royal Rumble because of how it went down and the situation. It is what it is. And we're going to see what happens in the upcoming weeks leading up to WrestleMania. Like I said, I would enjoy having Jey Uso versus John Cena more than Jey Uso versus Gunther, because I don't know who's going to dethrone Gunther. This is why you don't have one man to be this dominant and then still have somebody that gets opportunity after opportunity after opportunity and don't really get it back. You know, even though Jey won the Intercontinental Championship title, look how short that was just to give it back to Braun Breaker. And I love Braun Breaker. It's the decisions and the story, and it's just confusing. They should have left the belt on Jey Uso a little bit longer before he gave it back to Braun. Also, the flip side too is that if Jey Uso would have dethroned Gunther, then Gunther would have entered the Royal Rumble. And if Gunther would have won the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble, then he probably would have went right back after Jey. Maybe, maybe not. But that could have been a possibility too. This is where it gets confusing to sort of follow Triple H's logic, just because we've seen this before and then we could think about the opposite. But Triple H has been doing a very good job in booking and in sort of swerving the fans into what we think might happen or the path that we see is going to happen. That's why, again, all of this is just fantasy booking and just me throwing out stuff out there. Did I enjoy the Royal Rumble? Yes, I did, minus the fact that of what happened and what we're talking about. But I wanted to make a quick little podcast episode about WWE and the Royal Rumble. And basically, I will still be behind Jey. I'm still going to be behind Jey. I'm still going to support Jey, the Bloodline, everybody. But just the outcome and how it happened is sort of like, But I hope that it is not Jey versus Gunther at WrestleMania. I hope it's like Jey versus Cody at WrestleMania for the belt, and then give Jey the belt, and then have Cody have a breakdown in a way. All right, guys, that is my WWE 2025 Royal Rumble review. And let me know what you guys think. Again, you guys can leave a comment over on Spotify. Spotify now allows you to leave comments. You could also leave a voice message for me to play on the Square Circle podcast if you want me to do so. And then also interact with the polls. They added all these cool features for all the fans that listen to on Spotify. Over on youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast, you guys can leave a like, share it out to your friends, and you guys could discuss this in the comments with me. Make sure to look for all the links that I have said throughout this whole entire podcast episode in the description box and also in the pinned comment on youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast. You guys are also welcome to leave comments on marieshadows.substack.com. That comment section is always open for everybody and anybody to talk about and comment. And yeah, make sure to follow my new Instagram account, Marie on the Mic. I would love to have you there. It is a Instagram account dedicated to professional wrestling, dedicated to social media tips, dedicated to tape study chatter, where I break down professional wrestling matches. I'm going to have some videos up there soon. Go over to the Discord, join the family as well. Again, all these links, description and pinned comment as well. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sponsoring this video, because it is sponsored by you guys, for all the support that you guys have given me over the past 6 years. And I so love it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to an episode of the Square Circle Podcast. I am your host, Marie Shadows, and I'll see you guys on the next one.